Welcome to Daily Stoic Practice. Today, we're diving into a new lesson from Stoicism. 9 bad habits you must quit right now. In the fast-paced cycle of modern life, many of us often feel stuck in our own negative thoughts. Thoughts that repeat over and over, like a never-ending loop. Have you ever been at work or even lying in bed at night, haunted by worries about the future, about things beyond your control? Do you doubt your abilities? Feeling like you're not good enough, not smart enough? We're living in a world full of pressure, and unfortunately, many of us are struggling with bad habits that damage our mental health and hold us back from reaching our potential. But what if I told you that there's a philosophy, a way of thinking that's been around for thousands of years, which can help you break free from these negative thought loops? A philosophy that's been embraced by some of the greatest minds in history, from Marcus Aurelius, the powerful emperor, to Seneca, a former slave. That philosophy is Stoicism. Stoicism isn't about running away from the pressures of life. It's about facing them calmly, rationally, and with strength. It's a way of life that helps us find peace in the middle of the storm, to control our minds and emotions, no matter what's happening around us. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Today, we're going to explore 9 bad habits that you must quit right now if you want to live a happy and fulfilled life. These habits not only drain your energy, but also cause you to miss out on amazing opportunities in life. So let's get started with the first habit, a common one that many of us fall into, trying to please everyone. Let's find out why trying to make everyone happy can lead to losing yourself and how to break free from it. Number 1, trying to please everyone. Have you ever felt like you always have to please everyone around you? In modern society, we're constantly faced with the pressure to be liked and accepted by others. Who doesn't want to be recognized, respected, and loved by others, right? But that very desire can trap us into constantly trying to please everyone. And in doing so, we often lose ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, once said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This means we should be forgiving of others' mistakes, but hold ourselves to high standards. But many of us do the opposite. We're strict with others and try to be perfect in their eyes. Do you know what happens when we try to please everyone? We end up exhausted, stressed, and feeling like we're never good enough. Let me tell you about John. John is a dedicated office worker who always tries to make everyone happy. He accepts every task his boss gives him, no matter how full his workload already is. And when his colleagues need help, John is always willing. Sounds great, right? Someone always willing to support others, always trying to do his best. But the problem was that John didn't know when to stop. John's time was getting tighter, but he was afraid that if he said no to any request, he'd be judged or lose respect. So he kept taking on more work, never saying no, even when he was overwhelmed. Eventually, John started to feel exhausted. He had no time for himself, for his family, or his personal goals. His mental health was also declining because he was constantly worried about making everyone happy. One day, John realized he couldn't keep living like that. He started learning how to say no. This didn't mean he became selfish or stopped caring about others. It just meant that John began setting clear boundaries. He realized that if he didn't take care of himself first, he wouldn't have enough energy to help anyone else. Once John started declining unnecessary requests and focusing only on what really mattered, he felt much more relieved. His colleagues and boss still respected him and even appreciated his focus and efficiency more than before. Self-awareness. The first and most important thing you need to do is understand your values and priorities. Ask yourself, what truly matters to you? How can you live according to those values without getting caught up in other people's expectations? Once you understand this, you'll have a clear idea of what tasks you should take on and which you can say no to. Learn to say no. Yes, saying no isn't easy, but you need to understand that turning down requests that don't align with your goals doesn't make you a bad or selfish person. In fact, it helps you maintain balance in your life and focus on what's most important. Try saying no politely but firmly, and you'll see that it's not as scary as you think. Set clear boundaries. Part of learning to say no is knowing your limits. Don't hesitate to let others know what you can and cannot do. Setting boundaries not only helps you stay focused and efficient, but it also teaches others to respect your time and space. Accept imperfection. Finally, but most importantly, you need to accept that you can't please everyone. And that's completely okay. Nobody can be perfect, and neither can you. Focus on being the best version of yourself, rather than trying to meet everyone's expectations. Remember, trying to please everyone is not the path to happiness or success. Learning to say no and protecting your values will help you maintain balance and feel freer. When you learn to prioritize yourself, you'll find that life becomes much more enjoyable and meaningful. Number 2. Overthinking. Have you ever lain in bed at night trying to sleep, but your mind just wouldn't stop racing? You think about what you did, what you didn't do, and then worry about what could happen tomorrow. Or maybe you missed out on an opportunity because you kept analyzing and second-guessing whether your decision was right. This is a habit many of us struggle with, and it's called overthinking. Overthinking is a never-ending cycle. We worry about every possible outcome, reanalyze what's already happened, and then we can't focus on the present. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving a lot, but getting nowhere. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That means the things we fear and overthink are often much worse in our minds than they are in reality. Let's talk about Sarah. Sarah is a talented graphic designer, but she constantly battles with her never-ending thoughts. Every time she gets a new project, instead of starting, she starts worrying. Will I meet the client's expectations? Am I good enough to do this? What if they don't like the result? These thoughts kept looping, and Sarah wasted a lot of time just analyzing what hadn't even happened yet, instead of focusing on the task at hand. As a result, she couldn't submit her work on time, and just as she feared, the client was unhappy. Sarah realized that overthinking was holding her back. Instead of focusing on completing her tasks, she was wasting energy on unnecessary worries. After that, Sarah decided to change. She began practicing mindfulness, learning to focus on the present and only deal with what she could control right now. As a result, Sarah gradually broke free from the habit of overthinking, and her work flowed much more smoothly. She realized that when she focused on action rather than worrying, everything became simpler and more manageable. Live in the present. This is the key thing we need to remember. We can't change the past, and we can't fully control the future. The only thing we can control is the present moment, what's happening right now. Focus on what you can do at this moment instead of worrying about scenarios that haven't happened yet. By focusing on the present, you'll free up energy for what truly matters. Practice mindfulness. One of the best ways to stay in the present is to practice mindfulness. This can be as simple as paying attention to your breathing, feeling each breath in and out, or listening to the sounds around you without judgment. Mindfulness helps bring your mind back to the present, away from unnecessary worries and thoughts. It's a powerful technique for controlling your mind and reducing stress. Challenge negative thoughts. When you feel negative thoughts creeping in, ask yourself, are these worries really necessary? Sometimes we get caught up in worst-case scenarios that never actually happen. Challenge those thoughts and remind yourself that most of the things you worry about won't come true. Overthinking is like placing an unnecessary burden on your shoulders. Instead of helping you move forward, it only makes you feel stressed and lose focus on what truly matters. To live a happier and more peaceful life, focus on the present and what you can control. Remember, things aren't as bad as you imagine. Number 3, constant worrying. Have you ever felt like you can't stop worrying about things that haven't happened yet? Imaginary scenarios keep playing in your head, making you anxious and unable to focus on anything else. Worrying is a natural part of life, but when it becomes a habit, taking over your mind and robbing you of the ability to enjoy the present, that's when worrying becomes a problem. Worrying too much about the future doesn't just make it hard to live in the present. It makes us feel powerless in the face of things that are out of our control. Think about it. How many times have you worried about something only for it not to happen? Yet you wasted so much time and energy stressing over it instead of focusing on what you could do right now. Let me tell you about Michael. Michael is a senior manager who's always worried about the future of his company. Although his company was doing well, Michael was constantly afraid that an economic crisis could hit at any moment. He couldn't stop thinking about the possibility of declining sales, bankruptcy, and losing everything he had built. These worries took over Michael's mind. He could no longer focus on his daily work and struggled to make effective decisions because he was always haunted by the worst-case scenarios. Instead of focusing on improving his team, developing products, or enhancing customer service, the things he could control, Michael spent most of his time thinking about distant scenarios beyond his control. But one day Michael realized that he couldn't keep living in constant worry. He decided to change his mindset. Instead of letting his mind be dominated by what might happen in the future, he started to clearly differentiate between what he could control and what he couldn't. Michael focused on what he could do now, improving his employees' skills, optimizing workflows, and creating better quality products. The result? His work became much more efficient, and most importantly, Michael felt calmer and more in control of his life. Distinguish between what you can and cannot control. This is a core principle of Stoicism. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Don't waste your time and energy worrying about it. On the other hand, if it's something you can change, take action and do the best you can. For example, you can't control economic fluctuations, but you can manage your personal finances and how you react to the situation. When you focus on what you can do right now, you'll feel more confident and less anxious. Practice gratitude. When worry starts to take over your mind, stop and think about the good things you have. It could be your health, your family, or a stable job. Reminding yourself of the positives will help you realize that there's so much to appreciate in life, and worrying about things that haven't happened is unnecessary. For example, each morning, take a few minutes to think of 3 things you're grateful for. This is a great way to start the day with a positive mindset and reduce worry. Focus on the present. The future is unpredictable, and the truth is, no one knows what's coming next. But you do have control over the present. This is the only time when you can act. When worries about the future creep in, remind yourself that things will only change when you take action in the present. One effective technique to return to the present is deep breathing and being aware of your surroundings. Focus on your breath, listen to the sounds, or feel your body. These simple but powerful actions help bring your mind back to the present and reduce anxiety. Constant worrying doesn't prepare you better for the future. It only robs you of the ability to enjoy the present. It weakens your decision-making ability, makes you feel exhausted, and drains your energy. But when you learn to focus on what's within your control and accept that the future isn't in your hands, you'll find that everything becomes much easier to manage. Number 4, self-doubt. Have you ever asked yourself, am I good enough to achieve what I want? Have you ever looked at the people around you and thought, I'm not smart enough, capable enough, or talented enough to succeed? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. Self-doubt is one of the biggest enemies of success and an invisible barrier that prevents us from stepping out of our comfort zone. But you know what? This self-doubt is just an illusion, not reality. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, have said, the main task in life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to live according to the rules of one's own nature. This reminds us that the value of life isn't in being recognized by society or others, but in living true to the principles and values you believe in. Let's talk about Jenny. Jenny is a smart and creative woman who has always dreamed of writing a book. She has unique ideas and stories that she believes could inspire readers. But for years, she hasn't written a single word. Why? Because she always felt like she wasn't good enough. Jenny was afraid that if she wrote, people wouldn't like her book, and that she would fail. Self-doubt kept Jenny stuck in her comfort zone. She thought that by not writing, she wouldn't have to face failure or negative judgment. But what Jenny didn't realize was that her self-doubt was holding her back and stopping her from discovering her true potential. Her fear of failure became an excuse to procrastinate and avoid challenging herself. Eventually, after years of wondering and hesitation, Jenny decided she couldn't keep living in doubt. She realized that the only way to know if she was good enough was to take action. Jenny started writing little by little. At first, she still felt anxious, but she kept going. Gradually, Jenny realized that her self-doubt was just an illusion, and when she stepped out of her comfort zone, she discovered her real potential. Jenny's first book was published and warmly received. The fears she had lived with for so many years didn't come true. Instead, she received support and recognition that she hadn't expected. Jenny learned that only by taking action can you truly overcome self-doubt and discover what you're capable of. Challenge negative thoughts. When self-doubt enters your mind, stop and question those thoughts. Ask yourself, are these worries really true, or are they just unfounded fears? Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves and set unrealistic standards. Instead, remind yourself of your past achievements, the skills and the abilities you've developed. Everyone has their own strengths, and so do you. Acknowledge what you've done well instead of focusing on what you think you're missing. Focus on your strengths. Don't obsess over what you lack. Instead, look at what you're already good at. Maybe you're not an expert in a particular field yet, but that doesn't mean you don't have the potential to grow. Remember, no one is perfect from the start. Concentrate on improving the skills you already have, and it will help boost your confidence. For example, if you're great at writing, but not so good at public speaking, focus on honing your writing skills first and gradually work on overcoming other weaknesses. Act despite fear. Self-doubt often stems from a fear of failure. We're afraid that if we try something, we'll fail and be judged. But you know what? The only way to know what you're capable of is to act. Remember Jenny's words. Self-doubt is just an illusion. Don't let fear stop you. Take action even when you're scared. Stepping out of your comfort zone is never easy, but it's the only way to truly discover your potential. Self-doubt is a huge barrier that stops you from reaching your dreams. But when you learn to challenge negative thoughts, focus on your strengths, and take action despite fear, you'll open doors to countless opportunities you never imagined. Remember, no one is born perfect, and confidence comes not from knowing you're good at everything, but from knowing you're willing to face challenges and overcome them. No 5. Dwelling on past negatives. The past is an undeniable part of our lives, but if you're always stuck in past mistakes and traumas, you'll never be able to move forward. Many of us get trapped in the past, weighed down by regrets over what we did or didn't do. And in doing so, the past becomes an anchor, holding us back, stopping us from fully living in the present. When you constantly blame yourself for past decisions or mistakes, it prevents you from seizing future opportunities. This obsession with the past can drain your confidence and limit your potential for growth. But here's what's important to remember. The past is gone, and it cannot be changed. The only thing you have control over is the present moment. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and philosopher, once said, "Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which arm you against the present." This is a powerful reminder that we cannot change what has already happened, nor should we worry about what is yet to come. Focusing on the present is the only way to create real change in your life. Let me tell you about Tom. Tom once made a poor career decision. Years ago, he chose a path that wasn't right for him, leading to challenges and failures. Since then, Tom has been filled with regret. He couldn't stop thinking about what happened, often wondering, if only I hadn't done that, would my life have been different? If I had chosen another path, would I have been more successful? These thoughts haunted Tom for years, trapping him in the past. Instead of focusing on the opportunities available in the present, Tom kept living in regret over what he couldn't change. This not only caused him to miss out on new opportunities, but also left him feeling powerless, unmotivated to move forward. One day, however, Tom realized that dwelling on the past was not helping his present situation. He decided that while he couldn't change what had happened, he could change how he viewed and responded to it. Tom learned to forgive himself, acknowledging that he made mistakes, but that didn't mean he couldn't go further. From then on, Tom started learning from his past mistakes, focusing on the present, and using new opportunities to build a better future. Accept the past. First and foremost, you need to accept that the past is over and cannot be changed. This means learning to let go of the mistakes and hurt you've experienced. Don't let them weigh you down and keep you stuck. Forgive yourself and others for the wrongs that have occurred. When you accept that the past no longer directly affects your present, you'll feel lighter and ready to open a new chapter in your life. Learn from the past. Instead of drowning in regret, view the past as an opportunity to learn and grow. Every mistake holds a valuable lesson. The important thing isn't how many mistakes you've made, but what you've learned from them. Ask yourself, what can I take from these experiences to avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future? When you view the past this way, it stops being a burden and becomes a motivating force for self-improvement. Focus on the present. Don't let your mind get stuck in the past or worry about the future. The only thing you have control over is the present moment. Living fully in the present is the only way you can create real change. Take the time to focus on what you can do now, actions that will lead to positive changes. When you focus on the present, you'll feel freer, clearer, and more able to see new opportunities that you may have missed before. Dwelling on the negative past only robs you of the ability to enjoy the present and prevents you from moving forward. When you learn to accept the past, draw lessons from your mistakes, and focus on the present, you'll feel lighter and more motivated to tackle new challenges. Remember, the past doesn't define you. How you live in the present and the choices you make will shape your future. Number 6, comparing yourself to others. In today's age of social media, comparing yourself to others has become easier than ever. We see glimpses of other people's lives through stunning photos, their shared accomplishments, and we start to wonder, why isn't my life like theirs? What many fail to realize is that what they're seeing is only the surface, the polished moments, the highlights that are carefully curated. We forget that everyone has their own struggles and failures, but no one likes to share that part of their life. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, have said, "Do not seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, and your life will flow smoothly." This reminds us that everyone's journey in life is different. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on accepting and appreciating your own journey. Let's talk about Emma. Emma is an ambitious young woman, but she always felt insecure when she opened social media. She saw her friends traveling to exotic locations, getting amazing jobs, and having perfect relationships. She started asking herself, why is my life so ordinary? What am I doing wrong? These comparisons made Emma feel more and more inadequate and dissatisfied with her own life. She forgot that the photos on social media didn't tell the whole story. Emma didn't know that the friend with the perfect job was working 12-hour days and dealing with immense pressure, or that the friend who traveled frequently had gone into debt to afford those trips. But all Emma could see was the outside, which stopped her from focusing on her own life and achievements. Eventually, Emma decided to cut back on her social media use and began focusing on her own life. She realized that everyone has their own unique path and pace of development. Instead of comparing herself to others, Emma concentrated on what she could improve in her life and began appreciating the small moments of happiness she had once overlooked. Focus on your own journey. Everyone has their own path, and that means no two people's lives are the same. Don't compare your journey to someone else's because everyone's circumstances, abilities, and opportunities are different. Focus on doing the best you can with what you have, and trust that you'll achieve the goals you deserve. Reduce social media exposure. Social media can be a great tool for connecting with others, but it can also trap us in a cycle of comparison. If you notice that using social media increases your feelings of inadequacy, consider cutting back on your usage or unfollowing accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. Practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what others have that you don't, concentrate on what you have accomplished. Every day, take time to reflect on things you're grateful for, whether big or small. This practice will help you focus on the positives in your life and reduce the habit of comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others will only steal your joy and overshadow your own achievements. Focus on your own journey, appreciate what you've accomplished, and continue growing as a person. Number 7, procrastination. Procrastination is one of the most dangerous habits that prevent us from achieving our goals. You know what needs to be done, and you know it's important, but instead of acting, you keep putting it off, telling yourself, "I'll do it later." Tomorrow turns into the next day, which turns into next week, and before you know it, time has passed and the work is still unfinished. Marcus Aurelius have said, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness." This reminds us that every minute of the present is valuable, and we should use it effectively, instead of procrastinating and wasting precious time. Let me tell you about Jack. Jack is a young man with big dreams, but he was always procrastinating. He had many plans, learning a new language, starting his own business. But every time he made plans, Jack held back, thinking, "I'll start tomorrow." But Jack's tomorrow never came. Instead of taking action, he continued wasting time on things like scrolling through social media or watching TV. One day, Jack realized that if he kept procrastinating, he would never achieve what he wanted. He decided to act immediately and start with small steps. Every day, Jack spent 30 minutes learning a new language and an hour studying business. Gradually, Jack began to see progress, and after a few months, he had accomplished things he once thought would never happen. Act immediately. Don't wait for the perfect moment or until you feel ready. Start right now, even if it's just a small step. Action is the only way to move forward. You can begin by doing something simple, like writing down your plan or spending a few minutes working on part of the task. Break tasks into smaller pieces. If a task feels too big, it can be overwhelming and make procrastination easier. Break the task into smaller, manageable parts and tackle them one by one. For example, if you want to write a book, don't think about writing hundreds of pages. Start by writing 500 words a day. Eliminate distractions, find a quiet workspace, turn off notifications on your phone, and stay away from social media to focus entirely on the task at hand. You'll be surprised at how much more you can accomplish in a short time when you're not distracted. Procrastination not only prolongs stress, but it also makes you miss out on important opportunities. Remember, taking action is the key to moving forward and achieving your goals. Number 8, fear of failure. The fear of failure is one of the biggest obstacles preventing us from discovering our true potential. When you're afraid of failing, you don't dare to challenge yourself. You don't take risks, and it leads you to miss out on valuable opportunities in life. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, has said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare, things are difficult." This reminds us that failure itself isn't what we should fear. Rather, it's the fear of failure that is the real enemy. If we let that fear control us, we'll never know what we're capable of. Let's talk about Linda. Linda always dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur, but her fear of failure held her back. She constantly worried that if her business didn't succeed, she would lose everything. Each time she felt ready to start, she would tell herself, "There's too much risk. What if I fail?" As a result, Linda never took the leap and continued to dream without taking any action. Finally, Linda realized that she couldn't let fear control her life anymore. She spent time researching, making a plan, and despite her fear, she started her business. It wasn't easy. She faced many challenges in the beginning, but by learning from her mistakes and pushing through, her business gradually began to grow. Linda realized that failure isn't the end. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. And through these lessons, she discovered her true potential. Change your perspective on failure. Failure isn't something to be afraid of. Instead, see it as a lesson. an opportunity to learn and grow. Everyone experiences failure, but only those who face it head-on can grow and succeed in the long run. Focus on the process, not just the outcome. Don't get caught up in the idea that you need to be perfect right away. Instead, focus on the journey, on learning, developing, and improving every day. The results will follow if you stay persistent and refuse to give up. Take action despite fear. Don't let the fear of failure stop you. Remember, every new venture comes with risks, but if you don't try, you'll never know what you're capable of. It's okay to be scared. Just act anyway. The fear of failure can paralyze you, but when you face that fear and dare to challenge yourself, you'll unlock countless new opportunities. Remember, failure is just a part of the journey, and those who succeed are the ones who know how to stand back up after falling. 9. Neglecting physical and mental health. In today's fast-paced world, many of us tend to neglect our physical and mental health. We pour all our time and energy into work, goals, and other pursuits, forgetting that our bodies and minds are our most valuable assets and need care. Marcus Aurelius has said, "Take care of your body. It is a sacred trust. If not, we shall not be able to keep our minds strong and clear." This serves as a reminder that in order to achieve success, we need to keep both our bodies and minds in their best condition. Let's talk about David. David was extremely passionate about his work. He often worked late into the night, skipping meals and sleep just to finish projects. At first, David thought he could maintain his energy and continue working nonstop. But over time, he began to feel exhausted and burnt out. He finally realized that if he kept neglecting his health, he wouldn't be able to maintain the same level of productivity. David decided to make some changes in his lifestyle. He started paying attention to his diet, exercising every day, and making sure to get enough sleep. These small adjustments made a huge difference. He felt healthier, more focused, and his work became more productive than ever. Maintain a healthy diet. Eat plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Avoid fast food and unhealthy fats. You don't have to follow a strict diet, just maintain balance and make sure your body gets the nutrients it needs. Exercise regularly. You don't need to train like a professional athlete. Just spend 30 minutes a day being active, whether it's walking, jogging, or doing yoga. This helps keep your body strong and your mind refreshed. Get enough sleep. Sleep is crucial for recharging both your body and brain. Make sure you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night so you're ready to take on the next day. Physical and mental health are the foundation of all other success in life. When you take good care of your body and mind, you'll have the energy and clarity to tackle any challenge that comes your way. Don't ever take your health for granted. It's the key to achieving your biggest goals. Now that you understand the 9 bad habits you must let go of to live a happier, more fulfilling life, it's time to take action. These habits not only affect your mental and physical well-being, but they're also the barriers standing in the way of your personal growth and your ability to achieve your most important goals. Let's recap the habits we've discussed. Trying to please everyone, overthinking, constant worrying, self-doubt, dwelling on past negatives, comparing yourself to others, procrastination, fear of failure, neglecting your physical and mental health. Now, the important thing is to start making changes. Pick one bad habit that you want to focus on first. Don't feel pressured or rush through the process. Remember, small changes every day will lead to big results in the long run. You are in control of your life and have the power to make positive changes. Stay patient, persistent, and most importantly, trust in your own journey. Don't forget to share in the comments about the bad habit you're trying to let go of and the strategies you're using to overcome it. Your story might inspire others who are facing similar challenges. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss more inspiring videos. We'll continue bringing you valuable lessons from Stoicism and tips on self-improvement. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey of personal growth. And now I leave you with one final question. Which bad habit are you ready to let go of today to start changing your life?